Now, do you believe in the supernatural? On a moonless night, I found myself alone, driving on a desolate highway. My gas gauge was dangerously close to the empty mark, and my phone, my only lifeline to the outside world, had died hours ago. The road seemed endless, the only signs of life being the occasional flickering lights of dilapidated gas stations, seemingly appearing out of nowhere. Feeling the weight of my situation, I decided to pull into one of these rundown stations. The wind howled as I stepped out of the car, sending a chill down my spine. Inside the station, an eerie figure stood behind the counter, his features obscured by shadows. His unsettling grin and gleaming eyes gave me pause, but I asked for gas nonetheless. He handed me a nozzle, wordlessly. With my tank full, I left the gas station behind, but my journey was far from over. Soon, I saw a figure by the roadside, its tattered coat billowing in the wind. An inexplicable sense of dread filled the air. A part of me screamed to drive on, to leave whatever it was behind. But something about the solitary figure stirred a sense of pity within me. Gathering my courage, I pulled over. The hitchhiker slid into the passenger seat without uttering a word. A chill spread through the car, and despite the absence of any discernible threat, I felt my heart pounding in my chest. The silence hung heavy between us before he finally spoke. His voice was raspy, like a whisper carried by the wind. He began to talk about the highway, the very one we were traveling on. His words were cryptic, filled with tales of accidents and unexplained disappearances. Each story was more unnerving than the last. He spoke of drivers who'd vanished without a trace, their vehicles found abandoned by the roadside. He mentioned a bridge shrouded in fog, a place where many met their untimely end. As he narrated these tales, I couldn't shake off the feeling that they were not mere stories. The more he spoke, the more I felt an unsettling connection between his words and the desolate road we were on. His tales became my reality, the darkness outside my window seeming to take on a life of its own. The way he described the accidents, the disappearances, they were too detailed, too intimate. It was as though he had been present at each event. His words echoed in my mind, creating a symphony of fear that made my blood run cold. I felt a sense of impending doom closing in on me. The hitchhiker's presence next to me, the chilling tales he spun, the desolate road stretching into the unknown. It was all too much. I couldn't help but feel trapped in a nightmare. We approached a fog-covered bridge that seemed to lead nowhere. Its vague silhouette loomed ominously through the murk, as though it dissolved into the void beyond. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest, its rhythm echoing the dread that was slowly creeping up my spine. The hitchhiker, who until now had been an unsettling presence in the passenger seat, was oddly silent. I glanced over, only to find his seat empty. His spectral figure vanished. All that was left was his tattered coat, a haunting reminder of his existence. A chill ran through me, the kind that freezes your bones and makes your skin crawl. My mind was a whirlwind of fear and confusion. Who was he? Where did he go? Was he even real? Or was he a figment of my overactive imagination? A phantom born out of the solitude and desolation of the highway? Yet the tangible evidence of his coat suggested otherwise. It was real as the fear that gripped me. I felt like a pawn in a twisted game where the rules were unknown and the stakes were my life. The fog seemed to close in on me, wrapping the car in its cold, ghostly embrace. The bridge was just ahead, its structure disappearing into the murky unknown. I was at the precipice of uncertainty, terror clawing at my sanity. Terrified, I continued to drive, searching for answers. Ahead lay the fog-covered bridge, behind me the desolate highway, and within me a fear that threatened to consume me whole. My phone miraculously came back to life, and I searched for information about the highway. The screen flickered to life, casting an eerie glow in the dark car. As I scrolled through pages of seemingly irrelevant data, a particular headline caught my attention. It was an old news article titled, "Unsolved Mystery, the Highway of Vanishing Souls." My heart pounded as I read the chilling details. The article recounted a horrific accident that had occurred on this very stretch of highway years ago. It was a stormy night, much like this one, and a car had careened off the fog-covered bridge, plunging into the abyss below. There were several passengers, but their bodies were never found. The victims remained missing, their fates shrouded in mystery. A chill ran down my spine as I read the description of one of the victims. A man in his late 20s, known to wear a tattered coat, his face obscured by a hood. The resemblance was uncanny. It was him, the Midnight Hitchhiker, the silent passenger who had filled my car with an ominous presence. He was a ghost, a lost soul forever wandering this desolate highway, trapped in the aftermath of that fateful accident. Just as I was grappling with this revelation, I felt a cold gust of wind in the car. A shiver ran down my spine as I glanced at the rearview mirror. His eyes met mine. The hitchhiker was back, his malevolent grin wider than ever. He seemed to be laughing, a chilling sound that echoed through the car, making my blood run cold. In a moment of sheer terror, I slammed my foot on the brakes. The car screeched to a halt, skidding across the wet asphalt. But when I turned around, the back seat was empty. His laughter still hung in the air, a chilling reminder of the ghostly encounter. With my heart pounding in my chest, I pressed down on the gas pedal and sped away from the cursed highway. The night had taken a sinister turn, leading me down a path of unexplainable events and chilling revelations. The night had gone terribly wrong, and I had experienced something beyond explanation. I knew I had narrowly escaped a fate similar to those who had vanished before me, all thanks to a fateful encounter with the Midnight Hitchhiker.